What are the best compounds for paint correction and machine polishing? Is there such a thing as the best compound? Well, you're about to find out by watching this video. So what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Pan the Organizer. So today we're discussing what are my favorite compounds. I'll be sharing that with you, and I also need your help in the comment section. I know there's a lot of my viewers out there who are either enthusiasts for car detailing and many car detailing professionals too. So I want you to share your experience with the compounds I'll be talking about and presenting. Let us know if you have some really in-depth knowledge about a specific compound, how it works for you, how it works on soft paints, medium paints, hard paints, what conditions you're working in. Sometimes you could be a mobile detailer working outside, or like me, detailing from the interior of a controlled environment like a garage, so on and so forth. Also, I'll have other videos. So this one here is about the best compounds. I'll have one on the best polishes. I'll have another video on the best all-in-ones and one-steps and also what they are. And we'll have another video on the best pads. So this is not a tutorial on paint correction. If you want to see that, I have two popular tutorials on paint polishing and paint correction for beginners. So I'll leave that linked in the description under the video for you guys to check them out. And also any products that I talk about, I'll also leave linked in the description so you can easily find them, check them out. So all you have to do is sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Let's just give a quick background on what a compound is. So in paint correction, what we're looking for is to make the paint as pristine as possible, of course, depending on what your needs or goals are, and also if you're a professional detailer, what the budget of your customer is, right? So if they're paying for a one-step paint correction, well, you're going to give them what they pay for. Some want a pristine paint at the end, some just want a light paint enhancement, so we'll dig deep into all of that. So first of all, there are typically two big categories of what we generally call polishing compounds. Polishing compounds are these liquid abrasives, so they have abrasives inside them in different sizes, and they're separated into two categories. So the first one, the coarser ones or the bigger abrasives, are the compounds. So they're meant for heavier defect removal, such as heavy oxidation, deep swirls, and deep scratches. And then you finish that off with the second category, which is a polish. So a polish is a lighter abrasive, and polishes are meant to remove the sanding marks left from the compound stage. They're also made to refine the surface, so meaning you're going to get increased gloss, increased clarity, you're going to get more depth and color pop, and you're going to refine the surface to remove any of those lighter swirls and scratches, or again, those sanding marks left in the compound stage, or any hazing that might be on the surface. Also, if you haven't seen my videos before, it is very important for you guys to note that paint correction is actually the best way to have the biggest increase in gloss on your painted surface, more so than applying a carnauba wax, a paint sealant, or a ceramic coating. So the paint protections sometimes bump the gloss up a bit, but the biggest difference that is measurable with a gloss meter will always be through paint correction and machine polishing. Why? Because first of all, when you have defects on the surface like swirls and scratches, the light doesn't bounce off in an equal manner because of those crevices and those unequal swirls and scratches that dig deep into the surface. So the light reflection is scattered and you're not getting the depth and the clarity and the pop of the gloss. Also, when you're doing paint correction, you're not only removing those defects, but you're flattening that surface. So you're removing a bit of clear coat every time. Don't worry, not an amount significant enough to destroy your paint. We are in days now that those scares or worries are gone, especially with a dual action polisher. There is no reason to be scared of that. And if you can also master the rotary polisher, that's also a very good technique. We're not here to discuss about the types of polishers though. We're talking about compounds. So yeah, you're flattening that surface, and hence by flattening it, you're getting a truer surface, so flatter, and you're also getting better light reflection, that the light bounces on the surface, so you're getting that increased gloss. You're also removing the veil that can happen by oxidation. Think of those red cars that have been in the sun unprotected for many years. They usually turn pink. Well, any paint color can have that, but the reds are particular because they have that change of color to that pink color. Well, that's the oxidation on the surface. The paint oxidizes when it's exposed to the sun's UV rays, the damaging UV rays. That's why we always recommend that you apply paint protection on top of your clear coat, because the clear coat has the UV blockers, but they're usually concentrated on the topper part of the clear coat, and they tend to fade over the years as the paint also starts to fade. So you want to apply a paint protectant on top to make sure you protect the clear coat. That's the entire process. We want to protect the integrity of the clear coat so it does its job at UV blocking. So now, for the compound, one question that I often get, is it important to first start with a compound, or can I just do a polish? So let's get this very simple message out there. It depends on, first of all, what goals you have for your paint and how bad the defects are. So if you look at your paint and you observe it either in direct sunlight or you have an inspection light, if it has heavy oxidation, so that milky white chalky appearance, if it has tons of deep swirls and deep scratches, you will have to start with a compound stage. So the coarser abrasives to kind of knock those big defects and that heavy oxidation off, and then you move to the polishing stage. You always follow up with a polishing stage if you start with a compound stage, right? Because you're starting with the heavier grit. Think of it like sandpaper. So the heavier grit, that's the compound. So it's going to leave some hazing, a bit of marring, and those sanding marks on the surface. So yes, you'll have removed the bigger portions of the defects, but it needs further refining. Same as when you're doing water sanding, right? On your headlights, for example, when you're doing headlight restoration, you're going to start with the heavier grit sandpaper, and you're going to move up to thinner or finer and finer grades to refine that surface and make it crystal clear. So the same applies to paintwork. So once you're done compounding, you have to move to the polishing stage. And again, the polishing stage will further refine, remove those last little swirls and scratches, and add clarity, depth, gloss, and pop to the paint. Now, if your paint, you observe it, and it only has some very light defects, some light marring or love marks as we call them from hand washing or towel drying your vehicle over the months or years, or some very light swirls and scratches or very light oxidation, that's when you can go ahead and just use a polish. Now, to know if that's enough when you're done, observe your work. So once you're done polishing, look at the paint. Use an IPA spray or a paint prep spray, so isopropyl alcohol mix, to remove any polishing oils or potential fillers that might be in either the compound or polish, depending on what you're getting, because sometimes some have silicones, some have fillers inside there, so you might be masking the true correction of what you're doing. So do the IPA paint prep spray after the compound stage and another one after the polish stage, and observe your work. Also, before you start, it's important to answer another question that I get, Pan, so which compound is the best, or which polish is the best? Guys, there is no such thing as one single miraculous product that will work on every paint type. Don't forget, there's different paint manufacturers. There's different car brands out there. Also, there's different hardness of clear coats. So there's soft clear coats. We all think of those classic, sometimes Japanese cars like Hondas and some Toyotas. Of course, things can change, but generally speaking. And then you have medium clear coats like some American cars have out there. And you have some super hard clear coats. If we think of BMW, Audi, Mercedes, sometimes they have very, very hard clear coats. But that's just generally speaking. You can never be sure, because even a car manufacturer in the same production year, sometimes they change paint suppliers or paint manufacturers in the process, and the hardness of the clear coat can change, or the type of paint that they use can change. So to know which product to select, you need to do a few test spots. Now, if anyone tries to convince you that one product does it all, guys, they don't know what they're talking about. You always have to try test spots. You have to figure out what the optimal combination of compound, polish, and pad will work best for your level of required defect removal, or what your customer wants to pay for if you're a professional detailer, and also the result that you're looking for, and also your paint type once again. So there's no such thing as one compound that works on all paints fantastically well and one polish that works on all paints and you get the perfect defect removal. There is no such thing. Now, you could give me any compound or any polish, and if there's nothing else, I'll work with it and still get good results. But if we're aiming for perfection, and there's no such thing, by the way, as 100% paint correction unless you're polishing for days and days, and you're aiming to go at a Pebble Beach Concours of Elegance, for example, or if it's a museum piece or a very expensive hypercar for someone's collection that will be garage kept all the time, if it's a garage screen, for example, that wouldn't be realistic, because if cars are driven on a daily basis, what you're aiming aiming for usually is 85 to 95% paint correction. Again, depending on what your level of work that you want to put into, if you're a DIYer or if you're a professional, what kind of package your customer selects. Sometimes they just want a light paint enhancement, right? So 60% improvement. For most people, that's good enough. Some want just a light polish. Some want a compound and polish, a 2-stage paint correction. Some want a 3-stage paint correction. So heavy compound, medium polish, and finishing polish. So to get that paint as close to perfect as possible. But again, keep in mind for daily drivers, 100% paint correction is not truly what we want. And also, please keep in mind, we're always looking to preserve as much clear coat as possible. If you're always chasing 100% paint correction and you correct your paint twice or 3 or 4 times a year, don't forget you're diminishing that clear coat. You're going to get to a point where you're going to have clear coat failure because there's no more material to work with. Paints on modern vehicles are getting thinner and thinner. So we're looking at 4 to 6 mils on average of total thickness. That includes the primer on top of the substrate, which is the metal panel, the base coat, which is the color coat, and the top coat, which is the clear coat. So 3-stage paint. Typically, yeah, it's only 4 to 6 mils. You don't have a lot to work with, right? So you're not removing a lot with each polish, but if you're aiming for 100% correction, well, again, you're not preserving the clear coat. So keep that in mind. Have more realistic targets that you're looking for. And believe me, as soon, of course, when you're inspecting with a light and you're a few inches from the paint, you're going to see maybe still some minor defects left. But as soon as you step back a few feet, you look at the overall appearance, it's going to look stunning if you do a proper either 1-step or 2-step paint correction, and it will still look very good. So again, 85 to 95%, sometimes 75 to 85% paint correction is more than you'll ever need. Now, if we're talking about the compounds, the ones that I have today are all my favorite ones. So some that I have tested over the years, a few new ones on the market that are more recent. And we're lucky that we live in this day and age, because if I just go back maybe 10 years, especially the old school detailers out there, you're going to know what I'm talking about. 10 to 20 years ago, it was very hard to find a good polish. We didn't have the performance of the great dual action polishers that we have today. Certainly not the long throw polishers, right? Like the Rupes 15 and 21 mil long throw polishers that correct quicker because they're covering more surfaces. Back in the days, you used to have 6 to 8 millimeter throws, shorter throws. You had the rotaries that were usually left for professionals, and it was hard to find polishes because a lot of them had silicones, a lot of them had fillers, a lot of them were dusting like crazy. They didn't have long working times. The lubrication was bad because don't forget, you want your pad to glide on the surface and you want the minimal amount of surface temperature. The hotter the surface gets, the less cutting you're getting. It's counterintuitive, right? But that's the actual thing in real life. So if your surface gets too hot, you're not getting optimal cutting, you're not getting good paint correction. So we want to minimize this as much, and companies have done a great job with their compounds, polishes, and also their pads to minimize the accumulation of heat, to have heat dissipation, and to have products that also have technologies where they have better lubrication, so better gliding of the pad on the surface, less pad skipping, so on and so forth, right? By the way, I hope you're enjoying all the tips and tricks I'm giving. If that's the case, go ahead, click that thumbs up button. That really shows the YouTube algorithm that you're enjoying my videos, and it helps to push the videos to more people. You guys have made this one of the top 3 car detailing channels in the world. At the moment of this video, at the end of fall 2023, we're quickly approaching 1 million subscribers and have surpassed 125 million views, I think, at this point. It's just crazy amount, and I have you guys to thank for it. You've been faithful to the Pan TheOrganizer channel for so many years now. And so, okay, let's get back to this. So yeah, we're in luck today because we have pretty much all the products that you're going to see that I'm talking about. There's sometimes we're really nitpicking between them. The differences are mainly in price because the majority of them have low or no dusting. They have great lubrication on the surface, so the pad's going to glide a lot better. They have great heat dissipation as well. Because of that lubrication, you're not concentrating the heat on the same spot for too long. They're going to have, usually they're body shop safe, which means no fillers and no silicones. It's important in a body shop environment, the painters out there know this, to have products with no silicones in them. And also they have great cut as far as these compounds are concerned. So they can remove grit levels that are pretty intense as far as the depth of swirls and scratches, heavy oxidation, all that kind of stuff. So really, we're in luck once again, because regardless which ones you get, they're pretty much all going to perform well. But again, if you guys have specific experiences with the ones I'm talking about, please drop a comment. It's good for the community to have some feedback. I know viewers love to read the comments. We can go in depth into the conversation and see what kind of paints they work on. If you had bad experiences, maybe perhaps with one of these products as well, let me know. If the majority of them don't really sling, especially you always start off at low speed to spread the compound or polish on the surface, and then you increase the speed on your polisher when you're actually doing the correcting steps for either a compound or a polisher. So that way you're minimizing slinging as well. But I mean, all of these guys, regardless which one you pick, really, they're all quite good. I don't have any of the crappy products that I recommend. These pretty much, are my favorite ones currently. Also, if there's some that I haven't tested that are not on this list, let me know which ones. I have a feeling there's some, I think one brand in particular, Shoal from the UK. I know a lot of my UK viewers out there really like the brand. I've never had the chance to try those polishes yet, so it will be interesting. So again, if you have any ones that are not in this list, drop them in the comment section. So I'm going to go in no particular order other than the price. We're going to start with the lowest priced offerings, and we're going to go all the way up to the most expensive. But again, note these are all high quality. You can't go wrong. And also, there is no one better one overall. It really depends on your desired level of finish that you want, and also what paint type you have. So do your test spots, guys. Do a couple of sections on the hood or a flat panel. Look at the results. Start with one compound and a given pad, see what that gives. Move to another compound, potentially another pad, or the same pad but different compound, and again, look at the results. You're going to find one that is optimal for yours. So have a few of them in your arsenal. And I also recommend that you get some of these smaller bottles, especially if you're not a detailing professional, or even if you are. Get smaller bottles to start off so you can at least test what works good for you and the ones you enjoy using. That's the most important thing at the end of the day. I can recommend my favorite ones. It might not work for you, or it might not be something that you like using. And the opposite is also true. I have many professional friends out there or other detailing YouTubers that might love a certain product. And you know what? When I test it in my environment, in my conditions, I'm not a fan of it. So it's all about you test and you use what you like and use it often. So the first one here, the less expensive of the bunch coming in, I'm getting these prices, by the way. We're currently at the end of October 2023 when I'm filming this. So prices online from the usual websites I order from. By the way, quick disclaimer, this is not a sponsored video. Nobody paid for this video, so I'm just giving you my tips, tricks, and advice. So here, the first one, a classic at this point, because it's been out, I think, for over a decade already. The Meguiar's D8 Microfiber Correction Compound, coming in at roughly $16.49 US. For 16 ounces or 473 mils. I won't do the conversions all the time for the metrics, but you guys get the point. So it's also known as the D300. So this was a part of the Meguiar's DA correction line. So they had the microfiber pads that they released, both for cutting and also polishing. They had the DA correction compound. So this is meant their kits for dual action polishers specifically designed for. And they had the polish/wax, I think, was the other one. That one I don't use as much. But this one here, very easy to use. Again, I don't want to bore you with the superlatives or the adjectives, because all of them I'll be saying the same. It cuts well, it has good lubrication, it has little to no dusting, the price is decent, it has great performance, you're going to love the way it lubricates the surface, so on and so forth. They're pretty much all good. If there's anything that really jumps out though in one of these compounds, I'll let you know. But again, they're all pretty good. So this is more, I know some professionals use this, but this is more for the DIY, the enthusiast, the prosumer crowd out there. It is the only one in the bunch that doesn't mention on the bottle or label if it's body shop safe, meaning if it contains any silicones or not. If I had to guess, I don't think there's any silicones in there, but don't quote me on this one. But it is the less expensive one in the bunch. And here, by the way, again, we're talking about compounds in this first part video. So meaning the coarser compounding polishes, right? Or polishing compounds. There's many general terms, but let's call them, for simplicity's sake, compounds. So coarse abrasives, the bigger abrasives for the deeper cut, removal of deep swirls and scratches, and heavy oxidation. So yeah, DI microfiber correction compound from Meguiar's, pretty good. Unfortunate, well, back in the day, I remember, I think it was Jason Rose, don't quote me on this, but he's now the global training director over at Rupes. And Jason Rose, when he was working at Meguiar's over a decade ago, had introduced this. I think I remember that on the Auto Geek website and forum and all that kind of stuff. So he did some great work with the R&D team to develop a complete system, right? So it took the guesswork away. They were one of the first ones, I think, to actually do that, to have a system with specific pads that go with a compound, other pads that go with a polish. You bought the kit and you're good to go. It removes the guesswork and the thinking process out of it. You know that it's a system that should work well in the majority of cases. So the next on the list, another prosumer or DIY product that also some pros might use sometimes. This one here is the Griot's Garage Correcting Cream. So they also have in the lineup the Fast Correcting Cream, which is the even more coarse compound. So this is second most cutting capability. If you can use this with their Boss system, by the way, they have some great pads. So if you see here, they have the Boss Orange pad. So that's the one they're suggesting. So the orange correcting foam microfiber or knitted wool pads, depending on what you prefer. And you'll see in my video, there's different versions, right? You get wool pads, foam pads, microfiber pads, hybrid pads. There's a bunch of stuff on there depending on the level of cut you want and the type of performance you're looking for. So, second less expensive one in the bunch. This bottle here comes in at $20.38 US for 16 ounces or 473 mil. So basically 4 cents US per mil. It won't cut as much as their own fast correcting cream. However, this still does a great job. What I like about the Griots, I think they innovated for that. I like when companies think outside the box. So you see this dispenser here. So it has this tab that pulls in up top to push out any liquid without having any splatter. So it just keeps the whole thing pretty clean. I really like that. And they talk about easy dust-free wipe off, no silicones or fillers. So I like that they mentioned that here with the pictograms, long buffing time, and they talk about the speeds as well. Always start by reading the instructions of the products that you're getting, guys. It's important. So you have an idea first before you throw yourself into correction. See if there's any specifics that they talk about, because some are very specific in their instructions. So a great bottle, and yeah, another very good one. Now, one that is very important to me because the owner of the company, Jace Price, is a professional detailer out of the US, and I was introduced to his lineup. So this is the Last Cut Plus. So this is the latest and higher cutting version of the original formula, which was called the Last Cut. So that was the black bottle. This here has the plus at the end, and it's a white bottle. So this one here is a compound, so the heavier abrasive. And this one here is good for any type, whether it's wool, foam, or microfiber, it doesn't matter. But Jace Price, again, is a professional detailer. And what many like in the mobile detailing business is that he also developed this to be very compatible in a sunlit environment. You have no choice when you're a mobile detailer but to work outside, right? And his compounds are known to work super well. They have great lubrication. Let me show you here the rear. The instructions are pretty complete. So it's a heavier cut compared to the original formula. It's top tier in lubrication. There's almost zero sling, and it finishes much better than the original formula. I had the chance to speak with Jace a few times, and yeah, just a great guy, great mentality, hard worker, and he came out with a great line. And this one here, I think, is enjoyed by a lot of people. By the way, if you want to see the compounds and polishes tested in ways that I think I'm even impressed by, I would highly recommend that you look at CarCraft Auto Detailing channel. A shout out to Sandro over in Australia. He's a professional detailer. And also to Brian from the Apex Detail YouTube channel. Brian is in Pennsylvania in the USA. So both Sandro from CarCraft Auto Detailing and Brian from Apex Auto Detail, they are two professional detailers, and they push their testing for compounds, polishes, and pads to next levels. Removing sanding marks, water sanding, testing for gloss improvements with gloss readers, I mean, they go in such depth, and they give you real world scenarios depending on if you have some soft clears, some medium clears, some hard clear codes, so on and so forth. So if you want to really do some deep dives, I highly recommend that you watch both of those channels. I met Brian a few times in person. We exchange emails every now and then as well. He's just a great guy. I consider consider him a friend at this point. He also has a very good lineup of products himself. They're called the BC line of products, blue collar. And he does some amazing work. And again, Sandro, Carcraft Auto Detail, my God, goes into depth for everything. Just top level. Both guys, by the way, great channels. If you know them, give him a thumbs up in the description, in the comment section under the video if you enjoy their videos as well. So yeah, again, the name is on the bottle. Jace Price, the Last Cut Plus, amazing product. Next, we have another one here. So in Europe, I think you guys have a company called Menzerna that produce a lot of compounds and polishes. One of the American distributors or importers of Menzerna is Jescar. So this is their heavy cut compound. And like the name states, this one here is for heavier cuts. Comes in at, oh, by the way, the Last Cut Plus, before I forget, this one here comes in at $35.98 USD for these 16 ounces or 473 mils. So decent bang for buck because you still get a big bottle. So this one here is still inexpensive, priced per milliliter compared to the rest. So this one here. Now, the heavy cut compound, this is an 8-ounce bottle or 237 mils coming in at $19.95 USD. And again, this one here is very good for cutting. I remember I worked on a project with my friend Matt Mormon from Obsessed Garage. We were at his Obsessed Garage Destination 1 in Georgia. And we had one of our subscribers come in with his BMW M3 and we spent a few days with him, did a full A to Z or A to Z detail, including paint correction. And I remember that paint was quite hard and there were a few areas where we were like, wow, what is that? So we had to bust out one heavier compound and he used Jescar heavy cut compound. I think it was on the bumper. So this one here, it was a breeze with this and the pad combination as well. So have different options available to you when you're seeing that your compound isn't working or is not removing the defects that you want. Switch compounds or switch pads. That usually does the trick. You'll find the combination that usually works best for your situation. Next up the list, so mid-pack as far as pricing is concerned. This is the latest version of the Rupes DA Coarse Cut Polishing Compound. So this is their blue coarse version. So that it goes with their blue pads. So they keep that color code going. I absolutely love that. For 250 mils or 8.5 ounces, we're looking at $18.99 USD at the moment of this video. Let's look here at the back if you want to look at the rear label. A bit more dusting, maybe, compared to the rest, but we're nitpicking here once again. It's quick to cut, but the cutting diminishes when you have longer working times. So sometimes a single pass right, up and down, left and right, up and down, you look at your results and it might not have done all the defect removal you want, so you might need a few passes. But if you're working longer strokes, longer passes with this, the more time goes by, the lubrication tends to go away a bit and it starts dusting a bit. But again, we're nitpicking. This is a fantastic compound. These are made in Italy, by the way, Rupes, and they're some of their machines, if you buy them from the US, they also have a plant in the US now to build them. They're all known, right? The Bigfoot machines. I personally have a few of them. So the Hybrid Nano, I have the LHR 15 Mark III. I'm looking at my polishing rack over there. I also have the HLR 75. So that's their cordless mini polisher. I have the what's the other one? LHR 75E Mini, the corded version. I'm looking forward to their new cordless offerings, by the way, 15 and 21 mils that will be released in 2024 from what I've seen on social media. So that'll be cool. But yeah, this is a very good system. And once again, they take the guesswork out of it. They have the blue matching pads if you want to remove all the guesswork and have no stress with that. So a lot of the producers or manufacturers of the polishing compounds also have their own pads. So the technology has evolved enough now and they understand that users want a very good user experience. So they'll typically offer pads to match their polishes or compounds. So if you want a good starting point, that's a good thing. Get the kit from the company itself and you should have a great starting point. So the next one from Germany, another very popular one. This is Sonax Profiline Cutmax. So this one here is one of the best for the low dusting aspect. I mean, there's literally almost no dust with this. It's a bit harder to remove the residue from pads, as I feel this stays a bit wetter on the surface or more lubrication perhaps is the reason. But the trade-off is that you're getting longer working cycles because the pad stays wetter or more lubricated for longer, you're getting longer working times. So yeah, what's the price of this? For 8.5 ounces or 250 mils, we're looking at $18.99 USD. So same price, same size as the Rupes. So still very good bang for buck. Again, smaller sizes are the ones I prefer. You can do a lot of vehicles with this still, right? And so try them, enjoy them. And then if you're really, really enjoying one of them, then you can get the bigger sizes. The bigger you grow in sizes, by the way, in the formats, the more economical they become because you have bigger volume, so they can decrease the price. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Also, I was talking about residue in the pad. Some of you might be wondering, what is that? A very important thing when you're polishing is residue control. Now, the spent compound or polish in the pad tends to accumulate and gunk up the pores, and you're getting less cutting as they become more used. Hence why, to do an entire vehicle, you don't use the same pad from beginning to end. I highly recommend that you change pads often. I typically use, for an average size car, 5 to 6 pads for the compound stage, 5 to 6 pads for the polishing stage. And I also recommend that in between multiple passes, or at least every panel, you should be cleaning your pad. Either if you have a compressed air system and a air blowout tool like a Tornador, you can blow the pads out to remove all that accumulated dust and spent compound or polish. Or you can use a pad cleaning brush, again, to remove all of that. Some like to use a microfiber, or you can have a pad washer like the Lake Country System 4000 pad washer with a solution in there. You put it in, it pumps up some liquid inside the pad. I have videos on all of that, by the way, on my channel. I even have a video on how to clean your polishing pads correctly. So different options, either with pad washers, either manually with brushes. Very simple, but the cleaner the pad, the better cutting ability you're getting. So always keep that in mind. Residue control and work with clean pads. I'm sure all you professional detailers out there can agree with that, right? So yeah, Sonax Profiline Cutmax, very good one. Next one, this was an update a few years ago and a much needed one. I think this is the best compound CarPro has ever released. This is the CarPro Ultra Cut. 250 mils or 8.5 ounces come in at $19.99 USD. It's extremely, extremely low dusting. It holds lubrication for a very, very long time. It has a better finishing ability as well compared to others, right? So what I mean by that is that compounds, usually we said you have to follow up with a polishing stage, but sometimes there are compounds like UltraCut that finish nicely enough on most paint finishes that when you look at it, you're like, you could maybe get away without polishing if that's something you want. Of course, if the customer pays for a two-step, you're going to follow up with that finishing step to get that last bit of clarity and depth of gloss. But yeah, this finishes really, really well. I like the way the labels are made super easy. By the way, all of them except the Meguiars that they don't mention if it's silicone-free, all of them are silicone-free and body shop safe, which is very important. And the majority of them, to my knowledge, do not use any fillers. So you have true paint correction here. They leave nothing behind. Of course, still always do your IPA wipe with a paint prep spray or your IPA solution to remove the polishing oils and residue. That's crucial before you apply your paint protection, especially before ceramic and graphene coatings, because you want those coatings to bond directly to a virgin clear coat without interference from the oils left behind from the lubrication of the compounds that you're using. So CarPro Ultra Cut, fantastic product. Another product from Germany, from a brand that really does top tier products, we have Koch-Chemie or Koch-Chemie. Guys, stop saying how we should be pronouncing it. Nobody that is non-German can pronounce this correctly, so let's not make a big thing out of it. I like to call them KCX. That's their new thing that they marketed for their name now. I think it's much easier. So once again, this one here is the, hello. Let's get with a close-up. There we go. So this is their newest version of their heavy cut. This is the H9 version 02, $22.99 US for 250 mils or roughly 8.5 ounces. It's a bit more dusting the longer you work with it, especially if you work in direct sunlight. So if you're a mobile detailer and you have to work in direct sunlight, this might not be your favorite one, but in all other conditions, especially controlled environment, this one here cuts a lot more than the 01 version that they have, which was already pretty good. But this too, silicone-free, body shop safe, all that stuff. Great labeling, by the way. And yeah, they usually have always here the indication for the level of cut and finish on the front. You had the same thing with the CarPro. If you look at that, see that? The cut and finish or cut and gloss. So sometimes they put that directly in the front. And same thing for Sonax. If we look here in the bottle, you can see that the cut and the gloss enhancement levels. And of course, as these are compounds, you can tell that the cut is a lot higher than the gloss because the gloss is meant for the refining stage with the paint polish. So we're given a lot of knowledge here. I hope you guys are enjoying this. I hope I'm not boring you too much, right? So last but not least, unfortunately, it is the most expensive of the bunch. This is usually what happens with 3D products. However, they have very good raw materials. Well, let me introduce you first to the product, right? One thing at a time. This is the 3D ACA 500 Extra Cut. So this is their compound in the lineup, $24.99 US for these 8 ounces or 237 mils. And yeah, it cuts hard clear coat really, really fast. And if you look at here on the label, they talk about alpha ceramic alumina. What this does is that ceramic abrasives in there, they lower the surface temperature to get more of that cut a lot quicker. So that's the cool part about this technology. Again, body shop safe, no VOCs in there, or VOC compliant, should I say, no silicones, no fillers. This is a very, very good, I think, Brian from Apex, this is one of his favorite ones. Brian, if you're looking at this video, comment, but I think I remember you saying that this was an easy one, easy wipe off as well. By the way, you're not going to struggle to wipe off any of these. Again, the technology has evolved so much. As you can tell, I'm nitpicking when I'm talking about stuff because the majority of these have fantastic, fantastic properties. So yeah, that's one cool thing. The alpha ceramic alumina in there lowers the surface temp. And if you remember what I said at the beginning of the video, lowering the surface temperature leads to better and quicker cutting because heat is the enemy when you're doing paint correction. You want to dissipate that heat. Also, when you're doing correction, let the machine and the pad and the chemical do its thing. You don't want to apply too much pressure. First, if you're using a DA, you're going to stall the pad, or even if you're using a rotary machine, you're going to run into issues. You might burn some edges if you don't know what you're doing or if you're not careful. It's not the case with a DA because a DA does oscillation, so figure 8 movement plus the spinning, so it imitates the movement of a hand, so you're not getting any chances of burning through edges. But even if you know how to control a rotary polisher, they're fantastic to use. A lot of professionals still love those. Personally, I like to use a DA, but I know a lot of you guys out there, sometimes you use a DA to finish, you're going to use a rotary to cut. I know for my friend Ivan LaCroix, it's actually the opposite. Ivan from DIY Detail likes to cut with a DA and likes to finish with a rotary at low speeds. So it's interesting to see different people, different techniques. It doesn't matter. Use the tool that works for you. What we're looking for is the end result. Don't never be influenced or talked down to by somebody who tells you that that's not the right tool, it's not the right thing. Do your thing, do your testing, and do what works well for you. So ACA 500, a great one by 3D. However, it is the most expensive of the bunch if you price it per mil. And that's the only caveat on this one, but it works really, really well. That lubrication on the surface, 3D, top notch. If you didn't see 3D 1 in this video, you're probably wondering why, because it took an award many years in a row, right, for one of my favorite compound polishes. We're going to have that in the one-step and all-in-one video, and you're going to find out why. Later in those other videos, because there's a few of those compounds that finish down so well, we call them hybrids. They're medium compounds to light polishes. They're kind of this in-between category that they finish well enough that often you don't need to finish off with a polish if you don't want to, if you're looking for just a paint enhancement or a one-step. So follow up on that video. It's going to be interesting. So guys, what do you think? Which ones have you tried? Let me know your personal experience with them and which one is missing from my list. Is there anyone that I should really be looking to test and to try out? That would be cool. Let me know. Drop a comment. Also, links to all these products will be placed in the description under the video for you guys to check them out. And in the meantime, don't forget, keep it tight, keep it clean, and I'll see you on the next one.